everybody. It's Monday. Been a long weekend working on the truck. I'm just sitting in my house, letting the car warm up, getting ready to go head over to the truck to start working on it some more. I hope to get plug wires set up today, transmission service done, and dipstick tube in. See, maybe that ignition wire rerouting that I wanted to get done, I might be able to get that done today. What else? No, that's about it. Light day. I don't want to do any heavy lifting or anything like that, so I'm just going to tackle some more of these small things. Outside chance, especially if I can get the plug wires routed the way I want and the trans service done, that I may fire it up briefly. There's still no radiator in it or anything like that, so no cooling system. But I may just fire it up, let it run for 5-10 seconds, just make sure that fuel flow's good, no massive leaks and all that. We'll see how that goes. It'll be a nice little surprise for the end of the video. Stay tuned. All right, kind of like warm-up exercises before you play a game or something, but I've just been doing some small things. Got the plug wires put on, and as I suspected, with headers especially, you need to make custom plug wires to get around the tubes. This is the stock set that came with this cap and distributor, and of course they'll reach the plugs, but they end up looking like crud with the way you have to loom them to get around the headers. And there's a couple of them that are just too tight up against the header, the way I have to orient them. And so I'm gonna have to get a set of custom wires and cut them to length. No big deal, that was expected. Got underneath the truck, ended up unbolting the torque converter. I was just thinking about this, if I test fire it later, I don't want to puke transmission fluid like I did the first time I did that. I also got the transmission dipstick relocated, plugged back in. So next step for me is to get underneath there and start taking this transmission pan off and do the filter service on it. Got the pan off. That's work, of course, too. You got to jack the tail of the transmission up. These 3 bolts back here are underneath the, or I should say on top of, the cross member for the transmission support. So you got to jack the transmission up to get those out. Kind of a pain in the butt. As transmission pans go, this is not by far the worst one I've ever seen. It's obviously been serviced before. Not bad at all. Not a lot of clutch material on the bottom of the pan. But the filter was not installed. It had fallen out of the valve body and was just resting in the pan. So there was, like, I don't know how this was even happening to get fluid through that transmission, but it was just laying in there. And usually with this rubber seal right here, it's held up in there pretty tight. I know that because one of the very first 700 R4s I ever saw when I was working at a lube shop, it was back in the mid 80s. I was doing a transmission service on it, and I didn't know about this seal right here. So I pulled the old filter out and it came out, but the seal stayed up inside the transmission. So when I put the new one on, it jammed the old seal back up inside, and the guy made it about 20 miles before we got a phone call. Bought him a new transmission, but that was my first experience with the 700 R4, really. Something you'll never forget now. So anyway, I'm gonna get this pan cleaned up and the gasket surface cleaned up and get the new one back on. Okay, transmission service is done finally. It's too much work just to change a fluid and a gasket filter, but that's the way it goes. I got the bolt back on to hold the trans dipstick down. That's plugged back in. I'm ready to fill that back up. And I found, when I was at O'Reilly getting the filter, found this. Hopefully this is the throttle linkage adapter I need to get the throttle cable hooked up. I'm gonna see if I can get that put on right now. Then I need to run back to O'Reilly, get one spark plug, because I forgot I broke one on the left side putting headers in, so I need to replace that. But good Lord, after that I can probably test fire this thing. It's raining right now. Let's see if the rain will let up here in a little bit, but I do want to hear this thing make some noise today. Timing's off. way off on it. Go ahead. Well, you heard it here first. The project truck is alive. The motor started up. Timing was way out. Had to just move the distributor back and forth both directions to find the sweet spot. Plus, I think it would have started a little bit easier. In fact, I know it would have. The lead that I thought had power doesn't for my electric choke. So we were trying to start it with no choke, which kind of sucked. But yeah, she started up and started smoothing out after a little bit. Oil pressure was good, and the bolts were where they should have been, and so I think I got the charge wire set right. I can heat shrink it down and get it taped up. Wow, what a lot of work, but this is why you do it, the payoff. Payoff indeed. So relieved to hear that sound. Any sound coming out of that thing, continuous firing of the cylinders, whether it's in time or not, that was so welcome. I needed to hear that. I needed to get some kind of payback for all of the effort that I've put into this, and other people, my brother especially, who's been helping me. Really appreciate it. Still, you know, not there yet, but I had to get that out of my system, just to know that it can happen, that my wiring was decent, and I can go ahead and ignore that part now and work on the stuff that is in front of me, which is getting the radiator, getting the brake line repaired, final wiring. Like, I wanted to relume those starter wires away from the headers and make custom spark plugs. I can do all that now and know that once that's done, this thing will be out on the road. Thanks for watching. Short video, just kind of spliced it together, but I appreciate all the people that are watching it, my subscribers, and everybody else that comes across these videos. Thank you for your time, and if you're liking more of this, please subscribe and set notifications on, and the next videos that will come out will probably be in a couple of weeks. I have an appointment for a doctor that's a 2-day deal, prep and then the procedure, so next weekend's not going to happen, and the weekend after that is probably when I'll be getting back to it. But by then, hopefully I'll have the radiator and the plumbing parts that I need, and I can get all that installed and maybe put this thing in gear and roll it back and forth a little bit. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.